Three straight games postponed, one game canceled, COVID within the St. Bonaventure program. But still, the team is on a path to play in a couple hours at 5-5 LaSalle. The question we're all trying to answer, how do the Bonnies pick up where they left off, and will it be good enough to get them through the conference? This is Bonnies Basketball Now.
Wins the Atlantic 10 tournament. Smooth under the basket, going up, and she's got it in. He has some talent out there for sure. And Lofton with a leaner off the glass.
And welcome to BBN on this Tuesday night, January 11th, and a Bonnies game night as well. The first time we've been able to say that in more than 3 weeks. I'm here with co-host SBU-TV sports reporter Anthony Goss. In about 9 minutes, you'll hear his sit down with Abdul Kareem Koulibaly. And I'm with the Olean Times-Herald's Bonnies beat writer, JP Butler. His last article, Can the Bonnies again rally past another COVID nightmare? And it's the question on every Bonnies fan's mind tonight. The last time the Bonnies played, they had a disappointing 86-49 loss to Virginia Tech on December 17th. That is currently not the taste Bonnies fans have wanted in their mouth for 3+ weeks. After that, COVID-19 problems at Northeastern forced the cancellation of their final non-conference game. Then issues within GW and Fordham forced the postponement of their first 2 conference games. Then the Bonnies faced their own COVID-19 problems, and their game against St. Louis was postponed as well. The Bonnies have been hit harder than many programs in the NCAA, but they are a chief case of more than 70 programs, according to ESPN, that have had to postpone or cancel games this season. Luckily for the Bonnies, they make a triumphant return versus, at best, an average LaSalle Explorers team.
Well, our expectations is that we're going to go and we're going to play well and we're going to win. You know, that's why we're going to Philadelphia to do. LaSalle has the same idea. But we're going to make no excuses.
So, JP, LaSalle is in the bottom of the conference in scoring offense. How can the Bonnies kind of reignite their defense against a team that struggles to score at times?
Yeah, I mean, I just think overall, I mean, you'd like to look at this game as another one of those sort of get-right opportunities against the LaSalle team that has, sort of struggled to start this year, who is in the bottom of the conference in scoring, who ranks near the bottom in the NET and those sort of metrics. The only thing keeping you from, being able to fully say that, I guess, is just the fact that it has been so long since Vinyl last played a game. It would be 25 days and counting. You'd assume certainly there would be some rust there. We don't know how often they've been able to practice, over these last several weeks as they've battled COVID as well. But even beyond that, if it can just be a thing where they, just impose themselves as sort of the better, more talented, more athletic team, that would, I think maybe be the goal as they kind of ease back into playing.
And then Anthony, LaSalle can get offensive rebounds when they need them. The Bonnies kind of struggled giving up second chance points up to this point in the year. How do the Bonnies keep the Explorers off the glass tonight?
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, I think JP said it really well, that you got to impose your will as the better team. And I think that Bonaventure know how to rebound. They're going to box out. They're going to be aggressive on the boards. But just not giving up those silly, little putback shots or other opportunities for them to think that they can, kind of hang around. LaSalle, they're going to give them their best shot, obviously, because the Bonnies are the top dog in the conference, and LaSalle will want to, try to get some momentum going. But as for the glass, I think the Bonnies will just use their size and use their experience, just as JP said, impose their will.
A lot of time off. Bonnies fans worry about rust, and so the Bonnies are playing tonight. How many other games will be postponed, and how many starts and stops are there going to be? So, JP, are the Bonnies at risk of falling behind the other teams in the Atlantic 10 with this not playing a game so far in the A-10?
Yeah, to this point, they're certainly behind. I think they're one of only 2 A-10 teams now that have yet to play a conference game with George Mason. Some teams have been able to get 3 in so far. So from that standpoint, they are a little behind just in terms of repetition and being out there playing. But I do hope that there is still time to get past this, right? It's a little different from last year where those starts and stops were just sort of throughout, the season, and they just rolled with it as it came. This is an instance where there's just been one big stoppage right in the middle of the season for a lot of teams. And I think the hope is that once everybody sort of individually is past that, hopefully everybody's getting past, their own individual COVID stop now, that they can, kind of continue on And by all accounts now, I think Bonna has passed their situation. Hopefully this game is played with LaSalle, and then it's kind of back to normal as they go, hopefully, because as we know, you just don't really know what to expect anymore.
Yeah, and Anthony, what's your outlook on what the Bonnies are going to be able to do in the A10?
Yeah, well, as for falling behind, I think with the number of games, obviously they've fallen behind because they've played less, but I'm still not convinced that there's anything that shows that, they're a step behind the other teams in the conference. They still are the reigning champions. Let's not forget that. I know we say that all the time on this show, but there is something to be said for the experience, not only on the court, but dealing with these COVID complications. And going forward, they're probably going to get that St. Louis game rescheduled. They already have the Dayton game rescheduled. They have VCU this week. So there's some opportunities that they'll have to kind of compete against the top level teams in the conference. Now, no disrespect to the bottom tier teams like a Fordham or a George Washington, but you can afford to not necessarily have those games if you have to play a less amount of games, because A10, they're arranging their standings, the final standings, based on, your win percentage and formula like that. But they will still have opportunities against the best teams in their conference. And I expect them to get a good performance, a strong performance against all of them. And in terms of falling behind, yeah, they haven't played as many games, but I don't think they're going to lose a step. I think they're going to come out of this pause ready to play, and they're going to be excited to play since it's been so long since they've had a chance to take the court.
Let's get into our A10 roundup tonight and this week. Tonight, George Washington is at VCU, who the Bonnies will play on Friday. St. Louis is at Dayton, UMass is at Davidson, and then tomorrow night, St. Joe's is at Rhode Island, and Duquesne is at Fordham. Friday night, other than the Bonnies taking on VCU, Davidson goes to Richmond. That game is on ESPNU. And then Saturday, Dayton goes to Pittsburgh to play Duquesne. Fordham plays St. Louis, and Rhode Island is at UMass. We highlighted Abdul Kareem Coulibaly on this show a couple of weeks ago. The sophomore slender big man transfer from Pitt, averaging 4.5 points, about 2 rebounds, and 0.2 assists on 55% shooting from the floor. He's been Shun's relief, which is a relief to Bonnies fans who know a healthy Oshuni makes a big difference in the postseason. But Anthony, his story begins well beyond St. Bonaventure or Pittsburgh.
That's right, Ryan. It really begins overseas with Kareem. He came from Mali. He left his family, his country behind to come play basketball in the United States when he was in high school. And just a great story, a very humbling story as well, about a great player and a great person that's in the Bonaventure basketball program.
I do anything for my country, so I just went there to do my best.
This summer, Abdul Kareem Coulibaly represented his home nation, Mali, at AfroBasket 2021.
If I can go, I will go. I will always want to represent my country, no matter what.
Coming from Mali, Abdul Kareem knows the challenges of basketball in Africa.
In Africa, it's tougher. I can say tougher than here. You have to pay your own shoes, you pay your own transport to go to the court, to practice, everything.
At age 14, a scout recruited Abdul Kareem to come to the United States. Continuing his career abroad meant leaving his home and family behind.
My first 2 months, I was calling my mom all the time, crying. Like, you have to live through the struggle.
Despite the geographical distance from home, Abdul Kareem found another family with the Mali national team.
That feeling, like, I cannot describe because it's so deep.
The love of his country proved stronger than any obstacle Abdul Kareem faced.
If you love something, you don't worry about the struggle.
For SBU-TV, I'm Anthony Goss.
Coming up, Bonnies fans, we revisit some not-so-distant memories of LaSalle, and later on, the women's team has had a tough week. How do they get back on track? This is BBN.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Welcome back to BBN. Bonnies versus Explorers hasn't been a close rivalry in the recent memories of Bonnies fans. 3 years ago, Kyle Lofton has one of his first big moments of many against LaSalle. With 3 seconds left, Lofton hits a jumper with the Bonnies down 1. That wasn't a great Bonnies team, but the moment that saw Lofton flex his clutch gene. And last year, it wasn't the players that sticks into our minds, rather Explorers coach Ashley Howard. Howard was ejected from the Bonnies' 86-73 win. He left the court pointing and screaming some choice words at the officials. Definitely an interesting scene that Bonnies fans will remember for a while. JP, given everything that we know about LaSalle and the team that they are, what Explorer do you think will be an impact in tonight's game?
Yeah, it's a good question. So LaSalle, they've had some kind of internal struggles. Maybe their best overall player, the reigning 6th man of the year, Sheriff Kenny, left, entered the transfer portal in December. They had two of their guys, their first and third leading scorer, missed the VCU game the other night. I'm not exactly sure if that was a COVID injury related. Jameer Brickus and Josh Nickelberry. We'll see if those two are in the lineup tonight. And so for me, the guy that has really sort of seized the opportunity and step up and kind of be their guy, at least for now, is this Clifton Moore, 6'10" big man. He's averaging 23.5 points and 10 rebounds over the last 2 games. Now both have been in losses at home to Fordham, and then they kind of got handled by VCU, but they needed somebody to kind of step up and hold the fort down. In the meantime, he's done that. He's only a sophomore, so I do think that he's certainly a player to watch, going forward in the league. And he seems to be sort of the known, the number one known now going into this one.
And then with that, which Bonnies player do you think can prevent LaSalle from taking advantage of the Bonnies' weaknesses?
So again, just given the long layoff, I think you could say any of these 5 starters, right? It'll be interesting to see how they fare, how each one of them sort of comes off this. For me, I think you have to go Kyle Lofton, though, right? Just because of sort of the different circumstances with him, the fact that he did play in that Virginia Tech game. He even admitted himself that he may have rushed back from the ankle injury a little bit. Well, now he's got a whole month on top of what he already had to kind of get healthy, come back from that, presumably be at 100% tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see, is it the Kyle Lofton that we really truly know, the leader, the quarterback, as Coach Schmidt likes to say. And if he is, I think that's one then, bigger step toward being right the rest of the way forward here.
The women's team has played this past week unlike their male counterparts, but it's been a tough week. They followed up a 90-43 loss at Dayton last Tuesday with a 63-44 loss at Duquesne. The Bonnies kept things close for much of the game until the 4th quarter, when Duquesne took over the game with a 23-5 run. The Bonnies finished shooting under 28% from the floor. JP, the Bonnies were down 1 going into that 4th quarter and ended up falling by 19. In years past, finishing games kind of has been their biggest downfall. And only 2 games into the A10, maybe it's not time to panic yet, but what do you think the Bonnies have to do to get right for the rest of their A10 schedule?
Yeah, I mean, that's I watched, some of that game and I was impressed with the fact that, on the road, they're only down 1 going into that 4th quarter. It was even the whole way. And then bam, all of a sudden you just have another one of these stretches where just like that, they're out of it. And that's kind of been sort of the defining thing in some ways, right? Under Jesse Fleming, they're right there, and then they have trouble closing it out, staying competitive in the 4th quarter. I'm not exactly sure what to point to as the exact, reason why, personnel standpoint, X's and O's. That's something that needs to be corrected if they're going to really have any chance of being competitive, even in A10 play. Obviously, two games so far, a pretty ugly loss to Dayton, and then you end up still kind of losing by 20 the other night. So that's the key thing to figure out, if they're going to first just be competitive and then maybe start to win some games and creep up a little bit in conference play.
And then, Anthony, the Bonnies are set to return to the RC this Wednesday versus Davidson. Last game, Anae Adams made her return to the court, grabbing 4 rebounds and scoring 10 points in just 16 minutes. How important is it for the Bonnies to have her back on the court and her presence?
It's really important, Ryan. And just how we talk about with the men's team where Kareem gives a little bit of relief for Oshun, Anae kind of provides that same sort of dynamic with Ayanna. Ayanna definitely has her presence in the starting lineup, can block shots, can score around the rim. But you bring in Anae too, who gives you an offensive boost off the bench. And in that game against Duquesne, when a lot of the starters, not just the bigs, it was the guards, it was everybody who really was struggling to find their shot and find their offense. And they was able to provide some boost off the bench. Now, do I think that you can rely on her to keep doing that going forward? No, you have to have everybody, contributing, participating to win these games and close out these games. But definitely with her coming back and returning to the lineup, a bright sign from kind of a dark week for the Bonnies women's team.
We'll see if the Bonnies can get their first A-10 win on Wednesday. Well, guys, it's time for our final thoughts. JP, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, I think it's the thing on everybody's mind. Can we just have a game played? Can it be sort of a normal week where they come back and get this showcase game on Friday night against VCU with fans back in the Riley Center? I think that would go a long way toward just getting everybody, including the team, feeling better about the whole situation of where things sort of stand now, putting that almost month-long lull behind us, looking forward on accomplishing some of the things that we still think, can certainly be accomplished here. I know it's been, difficult time for everybody. Just when you thought that, okay, now they're going to, actually play this game against St. Louis, because even Bonnet had started to put out their preview stuff and it looked like they were in the clear, and then bam, they have to go back into protocol, and that one sentence release comes out and everybody just is, goes into a depression about it. So just getting back to normal, an opportunity for a big win in that ESPN2 game on Friday night. If you get those things, I think it goes a long way toward just getting everybody feeling better about the situation in front of us here. And that should be the goal.
Anthony?
Yeah, Ryan, I think it's just exciting to finally be talking about and previewing these Bonnies games again. It looks, unless there's something again that's going to delay the Bonnies returning to the court, it looks like they're back. And LaSalle, that's an interesting matchup. You want to take care of business. But as JP kind of mentioned, VCU is looming on Friday. That rematch is going to be big. VCU is going to want to have their chance at the Bonnies after taking their A-10 championship, and then after the Bonnies, if you remember, had that really big second half at the Riley Center against them last year. So, we're excited to have the Bonnies basketball back. We're excited about this LaSalle game, but if everything goes according to plan, there's a really big game on Friday night that Bonnies fans should keep their eye on.
Yeah, and as you guys both mentioned, it's been almost a month since we've seen the Bonnies play. Obviously, the last time we saw them play, they lost by 40, unless they didn't, but they got that buzzer beater at that bank shot 3 to cut it to 37, which made it feel a little bit better, but not really. But yeah, it's been a month. It's going to be good to see how they can get back, and it's interesting to see how the team plays, because we just really don't know with how long they've been out. And we just hope that everybody is out of those protocols and everybody's able to suit up and play. And obviously, Lofton's ankle should be 100% by now, you'd think, an extra month to get things right. And then on the women's side, Asia Johnson shot 2 of 15 against Duquesne. She's not going to do that every game this season. She's a consistent, 15 to 20 point scorer. She'll get things right. I think the women's team can hopefully at least be competitive, try to get that first A-10 win Wednesday against Davidson, and hopefully the Bonnies can go undefeated this week, just like they started the season off doing. Both the men and women started undefeated for a while, so hopefully they can get back to their winning ways. And as we mentioned, the Bonnies tip off against LaSalle tonight at 7:00 on ESPN+. And we also have a new podcast version of our episode. Check it out on our Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. That's all the time we have for BBN today. For JP Butler, Anthony Goss, I'm Ryan Bolin saying so long, and we'll see you next week.
Wins the Atlantic 10 tournament. Smooth under the basket, going up, and she's got it in. Has some talent out there for sure. And Lofton with a leaner off the glass.